I'm finally doing it. After 5+ years on YouTube and over 2 years of trying to generate YouTube thumbnails with AI, I can finally do it. And I think they look pretty good. Now, I'm not using AI to generate the entire thumbnail from just one prompt, but I am using AI to piece together all the elements in the thumbnail, and it's saving me a ton of time and energy. So in this video, I'll take you behind the scenes while I create this thumbnail from scratch using AI, removing the background with AI, generating a new background with AI, creating the elements with AI, and finally, how I finish out the entire thumbnail. Let's jump in. So we're gonna be recreating this thumbnail that I made for a recent video on this channel. Now, these other thumbnails for all of the recent videos, this $3 million thumbnail, this one, this one, these were all actually created with AI, and all those photos of me, I didn't actually take those photos. These are all AI photos, which is pretty wild. So I always start off with my face. Now, first I kind of get a vision for what I want the thumbnail to be. I'll do some research within my niche. I'll talk to AI, ChatGPT, kind of get an idea for what I want the thumbnail to be. Once I've got like a basic idea, I'm gonna jump over into Ideogram. Ideogram is my favorite image generator. It's just the one that I love. I think it does a lot of things really, really well. And they recently came out with a character feature that I've just been using a ton. Some people may love other image generators like Midjourney. I know there's other really good ones out there. I even recently tested the new Nano Banana from Google. I found it actually to not be as good as what I can do with like Ideogram or even in ChatGPT's image generation so far. I haven't done a ton with it, but this is just the one that I like. I think it does text the best, which is really great because I use it for a lot of text things. It does really great logos, and I love the character feature. I love the ease of use. Ideogram's just really easy to use. So if you want to set up a character where you can actually get photos of your face, you're going to want to go over to the character feature over here on the left. You're gonna see a bunch of different ones that I've kind of been playing with, glasses and hat and different cameras. You'll have a couple different options. You can use the camera one that will just pop up your camera. You can just take a photo. You can upload a photo of yourself, or you can use a photo from your previous creations in Ideogram. Here's what I would recommend so far as I've been playing with this. I would first of all recommend using your camera. If you have like a camera connected to your computer or you have a webcam, I would recommend just using that. Make sure you have the best lighting you can get. Also, from what I found so far, it has not done well with hats, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. Hasn't done well with hats for me. It does do well with my glasses. It seems like pretty much every photo I generate has my glasses, just like they're generated. And the last thing I would say is I would definitely try to show your teeth in the photos. This one right here where I have my mouth closed, every time it would generate an image of a face where it has teeth, the teeth just didn't look like my teeth. So it'd make my smile look like somebody else. So I'd recommend showing your teeth to give it a good idea of how, your teeth are shaped. Once you do that, over on the main screen here, where you actually prompt for what image you want, you can just click this character button, and then you can actually attach one of these characters to it. So if I just like attach that character, now when I type in a prompt, I can just tell it what I want it to make of me, and it will create that image. Okay, first let me show you a few images I've generated of me. You probably see a lot of me on the screen right now. Here's the first thing I would say. You do have to kind of go through a lot, and you have to tweak the prompts, you have to play with it. But if you're willing to do that, and Ideogram will generate these images pretty quickly, if you're willing to do that, you can come up with some good stuff. So there are some good ones in here. Now, another thing I found is like, if you just leave it up to the AI to come out with your outfit, you might get stuff that you wouldn't actually wear. So you do want to specify, what you want your outfit to be. So I've started specifying like more t-shirts, just black t-shirts. I wear a lot of black t-shirts and those kind of things. But I do like some of the outfit choices here. And some of these are really useful. So I'm gonna just scroll through a few of these. Some of them are really bad, just FYI. But I do think the faces really look like me. Like I think you couldn't tell that it's AI versus real, which is cool. And some of these are really, really good. So I've picked out and kind of downloaded some of these that I think are really good. And there's a lot to throw out, but these ones specifically, you'll probably see in a lot of thumbnails where I have my face open. This is one I actually used in one of the ones I showed you at the beginning, but there are other ones here I think could be useful as well. So this is kind of where I specified the outfit. I told it I wanted a shocked face, put my hands on the side. I think those are really good and really useful for YouTube thumbnails. As a reminder, this is the face that we're going for. This is the finished one that we got. So if we go back to Ideogram, I want to show you the initial faces that I was getting were these right here. Some of these were useful. I almost ended up going with one of these. The problem was in the video, in the actual video for this, this thumbnail, I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing one of the black melon hats I always wear. I love wearing those hats. And so I wanted the thumbnail to have me wearing a hat because I didn't want it to be without a hat and then the video I have a hat. I wanted it to match so that people, when people click on the thumbnail, they actually see, what they're clicking on. Now, the hat that it got does not exactly match what I was wearing in the video, but it's close enough. I think it got close enough and it looks, okay. So let's go back. So I went with I had these ones, generated these ones. Then I was like, let's see if we can get a hat. Now, it does some really weird stuff with hats. You can see, we can scroll through a few of these, but here's kind of these different, that one I think is the one right there. That's the one I ended up going with, which was actually one of the first ones I generated, oddly enough, but I did go through a lot more. I mean, all kinds of funky hats. Here's what's funny about this is if you go over here to the prompt that I put in, I actually put black trucker style hat facing forward, but it didn't always do that. A lot of these aren't trucker hat style. See, some of these are pretty, like that one's pretty good. These aren't bad. Some of them are flat bill, some of them are backwards. There's all kinds of funky ones in here, but I will also say the faces look pretty solid. I think I almost went with that one as well. That was one that I almost used. Once I've got the image that I'm actually going to go with, I'm just going to go right here and I'm going to click on this little drop down arrow and I'm going to click PNG 100% quality, and that will download this image to my computer. And by the way, before we go any further, if you want to try out Ideogram for yourself, feel free to use my link. You can go over to builtbyparents.com/ideogram. I will leave that link in the description of this video, but that will actually give you 100 bonus priority prompts when you sign up for Ideogram. So you'll get some additional fast generation so you can generate really fast images. If you want to support the channel, you want to use that, feel free to go over to builtbyparents.com/ideogram. Moving on, the next thing that I always do is I always remove the background from the image. So I use this free background removal tool from Adobe Express because I actually think it's really good. Now, another one I really like is the background removal in Canva. I think the Canva background removal is really good, but this is completely free. You don't need anything and it works really well. So let me demonstrate that. So all I need to do is just drop in that image that we just got, and it's going to upload it and then just take a second here and then it will remove the background. I like this tool because it always does a really good job and it's way easier to use than like the one that's in Photoshop, or actually we're going to use Photo P here in a little bit. It just is easier to use than that. You don't have to do anything. You just drop it in here, hit remove background. It works pretty good. The next thing we need to create this thumbnail, we have the face now. We need to get the background. That's kind of where I go next. So I wanted this kind of grid pattern background. Now, here's what I will say is you can generate additional things for your thumbnails with Ideogram. It's a great tool for lots of things. So I don't want to hate on Ideogram, but for this specific thing, creating backgrounds, creating like this grid, I actually use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT does a really good job for me with like little design elements. We're actually going to use it for the arrow as well. But backgrounds especially, it does a great job when you specify, I want a certain background, of actually creating what you're looking for. And I've used it to create a ton of backgrounds. So here's all I put into ChatGPT to create this background. The prompt I use, now I'm on ChatGPT 5, I'm on the $20 version. The prompt I used, create a white grid background image for a YouTube thumbnail with an aspect ratio of 1280 by 720. That's the size of a YouTube thumbnail. The main color should be white with very thin black lines throughout it. And here it is, and it's pretty perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. So let's click download. It's gonna download that image and then we can pull that into our thumbnail. The last thing I'm gonna generate with AI is gonna be actually this arrow right here. So again, I'm generating this arrow in ChatGPT just because I found it's usually the best, it's the quickest to create exactly what I'm looking for. If I were to use something like Ideogram, I have to go through a lot of images, but typically with ChatGPT, I can get the design elements I'm looking for, background, arrows pretty quickly. So here's what I put in to get the arrow. I put create a black arrow element that starts at the bottom left of the image, squiggles its way up to the top right corner that I can use in my YouTube thumbnail. Do not make the squiggle too squiggly. Put it against a white background. That way I can remove the background really easily. 1280 by 720. Now, it did not listen to me here and it did not make it 1280 by 720. It made it a square. This arrow is the one that I started with, but I actually didn't like it. So I actually went back and said, do a squiggle with just one big wave, and it got closer. And I think I did another one here. I need one that points more up at the end, 1280 by 720 aspect ratio. It still didn't give me the 1280 by 720, but this is the arrow that I ended up going with. And I just downloaded it. So I hit the download button, and then I actually dropped that into the Adobe background removal again to remove this white background, and then I had my arrow. The last thing I needed for this specific thumbnail was I needed this bolt.new icon down here. This is just a bolt.new logo. I literally just pulled this off Google. I went to Google, searched bolt.new logo, pulled it off Google, had to drop into my thumbnail. Are you a parent who wants to launch an online business, but you're trying to figure out things like, what product would I even sell? How would I even build it on the internet? And then once I build it, how would I get people to see it? If that sounds like you, I want to invite you to go check out a free tool I built called the Freedom Plan Generator. It's a quick quiz of about 7 questions, and then it uses AI to actually build a custom personalized online business launch plan specifically tailored to you. If you want to check it out, just go to plan.builtbyparents.com. You can also go down in the description. It should be right at the top of the description. Back to the video. Okay, now that we have everything we need, let's talk about how to finish out this thumbnail and actually make it into a thumbnail. So I'm using photopea.com. It's basically a free Photoshop clone. If you've never used it, it works in the web browser. You can see it's kind of ad supported. I find it works pretty good. It crashes every once in a while, but I am not good at Photoshop, and you may not be either. So I'm not trying to do anything too complex in Photoshop. So Photopea actually does a really good job because I'm doing really simple stuff. So I want to walk you through how I kind of put the thumbnail together, finish creating it out. Let's walk through that. So first of all, I'm going to start off, you don't even need an account here. I'm going to start off with a new project, hit new project, and I'll just call it YT Thumb. And it's going to be 1280 by 720 is going to be the size for a YouTube thumbnail. We'll do 72 DPI because that's a digital size. 300 is for print, so we'll keep it at 72. Hit create. Okay, so now we've got our little thumbnail here. Next, what we're going to do is just drag in the elements that we need. So I'm going to start with my background. We'll just drag in the background, and it should just paste in there. Now over here on the right, you've got your layers. So I'll need to actually drag this layer up to the top. That way I can view it. And then I'll just pull it out a little bit bigger so I can actually fit it into my canvas here, just like that. Okay. And now we've got our background. Next, I'll drag in my face, which is going to be the kind of the main focal point of this. So I'm going to drag in my face, drag that in there. There I am. And again, I'm going to scale myself up until I kind of get it to where I like it. That's probably a little bit too big. So we'll scale it down a little bit. And I'll just kind of put myself right in the middle somewhere. Maybe like right there. Usually it snaps to the grid, but I think in this photo, I'm actually a little bit off to the side. So we're just gonna put it right there, which is pretty much where we had it. Next, I need my squiggly arrow. So I'm gonna bring that in and drop it in here. You see it's gonna go on the top. I'm gonna just bring it behind my face. And then I'm going to scale this up to where I get it, kind of where I like it. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit. So we'll rotate it. And this probably is what took me the most time, was trying to get the arrow like where I really wanted it, just because it kind of had to point in the right direction and do all the things. So there's my arrow. Next, I'll drag in my bolt.new logo. So we'll drag that in there and we'll bring it up to the top. So literally it's very, very basic Photoshop type stuff. In this one, I'll go ahead and just use this magic wand to remove the background. So I'll click on magic wand. I'll click on the white part. And then if you just click the delete button, it should delete it. This one has to be rasterized. So we'll just click OK. And then we'll click delete again. And there it removed the background. And another quick shortcut you can use, if you click on Command D on a Mac, it will deselect those little lines there. So, and then if I click V, it will actually take me back to the little deal there. And then I can move this thing around again. So I'll make this a little bit smaller, put it over here in the corner. We might tilt it a little bit. And that's pretty much where we had it. Okay, the last things we need to do here, we just need to add some text and these little text elements here. So I'll show you how to do that very quickly. So we'll just click on the text tool. We'll just click out here. We'll type in what text we want. So we can just type that. And then if we just hit this little text button, we can make this bigger like that. And if we click on V again, always click V to go back to your little mouse pointer here. We can like put this out here. I'm gonna go back. How do we have that? Okay, so we actually had it on 2 lines. Let's go back to Photo P. So we'll click on this text and we will put that on another line, and then we can just drag it over. Now, if we want to center it, we'll just highlight it, hit the center button. So that looks a lot closer to what we had, 70K/month. So we're just kind of getting our basic elements in here. If we want to do some more text quickly and we want to use the same font, I can just drag this little layer down here to this duplicate, and then it will give me another one. I can drag this over here. And what was the other words? We'll put 100% AI. So we'll change that to 100% AI. Okay, so now we've got that. So right there, we'll make that a little bit bigger, like that. Okay, and then we have our 70K month over here. Probably needs to be maybe a little bit bigger to kind of be like we had another thumbnail. Now, one thing that I'll show you real quick is there's a lot of space in between here in these lines. So if I actually go back to this, there is a option here that says leading, and I can just drag that and it'll make that closer together. So there we go. That's looking much better. Okay, so those are our basic elements. One other thing, just kind of last couple things we need to add. I added a red box behind the 100% AI. So I'm just going to click on this rectangle. I'm going to fill it as red for this one, and I'll just drag it like that. And then boom, we've got that. And we actually need to change that font to white. So we'll click on the text and we can just make it white. So it looks a little bit better like that. Okay, so now we're pretty close, right? We're pretty close. One other thing is I actually put in this little squiggly line right here. I'll show you how to do that really easily. We want to create a new layer. So we'll click on this little new layer button. I'm going to drag this up to right underneath the 70K per month. And on that new layer, I'm going to hit the B button on my keyboard, and it's going to bring up the brush tool right here. And what I'm going to do is just change that brush color to like this blue that I wanted. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to create a line right there like that. Right now, you might have to mess with that a little bit if you're creating like you want your line to look a certain way. You know, you might want to make it a little bit bigger, you know, like in this case, I'll make it a little bit bigger. So then we could be like, maybe make it just a little more wavy. It's pretty close, right? So we'll go with something like that. Last couple of things here. So I'm going to adjust my arrow a little bit. My arrow is obviously looking kind of funny. So I'm going to click on the arrow, click on my little mouse here, and we'll just kind of try to play with this to get it in the right spot. We might need to scale it up or down. Now you can also, if you want to get a little bit crazy, you can right click on like warp, and we can like warp this thing a little bit. So we can make that arrow, you know, really point to where we want it. That looks a little bit better, right? So we'll hit enter when we're done, and boom, we're done just like that. Okay, last couple things here, finishing touches. What I did in this thumbnail, you can see it looks a little bit more put together, is I added a couple shadows. So on the bolt.new down here, so if I click on that and I just double click on the layer, I can add a drop shadow. So you see that adds a little shadow there in the, you know, in the thumbnail or in that little area. I like to move it a little bit closer. So I just adjust that distance, something like that. And then I added a little shadow around this red box. So I'll do the same thing, double click, drop shadow, boom, just like that. We got a little shadow, cool. Okay. Last thing to kind of finish this out is my face is really dark, and one of the kind of things about YouTube thumbnails is a lot of people are looking at them on their phone and everything. So we want to make it really, really bright to where it kind of stands out on the timeline on the phone. So all we need to do is really easy to do. We just click on that layer right there. We're going to click on image, adjustments, brightness and contrast, and we just need to crank the brightness way up like that, and then usually add a little bit of contrast as well. And that's pretty much it right there. That's kind of the finished thumbnail. Looks almost identical to what we have right there. It might even look a little bit better. Maybe I need to swap it out with this one. But that's the whole process. Thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also consider subscribing to the channel. We're putting out new videos every single week. We'd love to have you become a part of the family. And let me know down in the comments, are you on YouTube? And if so, are you creating thumbnails with AI? I'd love to engage with you down there and say what's up. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.